Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. For the last few years now, some outsiders have been throwing some real crap into the rap game, and I'm not just talking about Macklemore. Prosecutors are trying to make a name for themselves by going after rappers, though that's nothing new. However, what is different is the last few years they've been intensifying their efforts. Why, it seems almost on a monthly basis, we got some rapper or other who's either being charged with something or at least is being accused of something or is on trial. Though these days, the popular thing among these prosecutors is to try to get them put away based on their lyrics. Not based because of anything they did, but just because of their lyrics. See, these prosecutors figure that these guys are, in many cases, street dudes, so that means that it'll be an easy win. For the most part, though, it hasn't. To put what's happening in gangster rap terms, the judicial system has been one non-stop diss track against black rappers. But this is all part of the steady drumbeat of anti-black racism. The point isn't really to put these guys in prison. The point is for prosecutors to make their political bones by manufacturing some headlines showing that they're going after these guys. It's exactly the kind of psychopathic racism that makes white moderates read casual racists, as well as people on the white right smile and hopefully be more likely to vote for said prosecutor. This is how you build your name, reputation, and confidence among certain voters that you're hoping to woo later on down the line. See, they all understand that it's not about the rap lyrics at all. It's about using the law as a means to have proxy trials. The rappers are proxies for the black community, and bringing charges against them based on their lyrics, it reassures the society that black people have no constitutional rights. Anti-black racism is so refined in this country, you don't have to spell it out. People understand that what's going on here is publicly criminalizing being black, because that's what it's about. You never see them doing this with other groups. Draco the Ruler, the late LA-based rapper, was acquitted of a weak murder charge. But prosecutors then turned right around and went after him for conspiracy to commit murder, which should have been thrown out by the courts, but he was black, so in the end, he wound up taking a plea deal just to get the prosecutorial harassment to go away. I told you about Spinabens, the Florida-based rapper who prosecutors there were trying to get on a weapons charge. See, they didn't go after him claiming that he had shot someone, or that he had committed a robbery, or even that he was menacing someone, that he even flashed a gun. That's not what they said. They said, well, he's a former felon, and his girlfriend bought a gun, and we say that the gun was for him, so we're going to hit him up with a possession charge. And we're also going to say that he was a gang member, so we're going to put a gang enhancement on the charges. So he's looking at 30 years minimum. These are the lengths that they are willing to go to, just so that they can try to have a black rapper's head on their trophy wall, because it's a matter of, hey, we can't get OJ, Michael Jackson's dead, Bill Cosby, well, that train went as far as it's going to go, so let's go ahead and try to just say we're going after rappers now. See, we're sending a racial, cultural message. They don't try this with white musicians, they don't try this with white artists or filmmakers or white writers, even though a lot of them have been accused of crimes, and their crimes often have elements that have shown up in their creative works. No, white power says it's free speech for them, so you can't really use it. That's free speech. With black people, on the other hand, there is no First Amendment protection on anything. Now, you'll notice a pattern to all of these ginned-up prosecutions, as I've alluded to before. In all these cases where these DAs go after these rappers, it's not because the rapper himself is accused of harming anyone. You have fishing expeditions taking the form of technicalities. When you have people being hit up on gun charges, or DAs saying that the rapper was with someone who allegedly committed some violent offense, or they try to allege that the rapper's part of a gang, so even if we hit him up for jaywalking, we're going to put a gang enhancement on it, that lets you know this is not at all a judicial exercise. It is a racial political one. And these prosecutors are pulling out all the stops. They're even accusing these rappers of RICO charges. They're hitting them with state RICO charges. That's particularly popular in Florida. Now, these charges would make sense for, say, the Proud Boys, or the Oath Keepers, or the 3%ers, but they're white, so they had to storm the Capitol before anything was barely done about them. And where are the RICO charges against the Proud Boys, or the Oath Keepers, or the 3%ers? There's no RICO charges against them at all. You have with these groups what are unquestionably criminal organizations who have been involved in all manner of violent criminality, organized street gangs committing crimes coast to coast. Now, if any groups were tailor-made for a RICO charge, it would be the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and 3%ers. They're indisputably a gang who have carried out and caused various violent incidents across the country. So where are the gang enhancements against them? Oh, that's right. Gang is a euphemism for black. So nobody wants to go there with these violent white supremacist organizations. They're terrified that if they do, it would set a precedent. After all, white power is reliant on the irregular forces of white supremacy. Sure, the dog will snap at its master from time to time, but that doesn't mean you have the dog put down. Instead, you smack it over the head with a newspaper. That's what's going on with the judicial theater as it pertains to the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and others' trials. The federal authorities' goal is to rein in the irregular forces of white supremacy, not to dismantle them. One has to wonder, however, when are all these rappers finally going to figure out that they're being systematically targeted and actually do something about it? Because none of this is new. Trying to take some famous black man, especially a black rapper, and have him as a head on a trophy wall, that's been going on for decades now. Puff Daddy, Snoop Dogg, nobody accused them of killing anyone, but instead, the prosecutors said that they were with people who had. Trying to take gun charges that would barely even carry a fine and then try to turn them into a 30-year sentence, that shows what this is really about. These are racial messages being sent, and you see black prosecutors doing the most to show how in favor they are with it. Fannie Willis out in Atlanta comes to mind. Whereas Kamala Harris was low-key with her anti-black shenanigans, Fannie Willis is going all out. She's clearly auditioning for higher office, but she knows she can't get there without having the support of the white DNC hierarchy, so this is her way of reassuring them that she can be counted on to selectively use the law against black people and make sure not to use certain laws against non-black people. She's proving that she's a reliable tool, at least she hopes to show that she is. You have never seen any politician, any prosecutor, or U.S. attorney run for office on a platform of having put white supremacists in prison. As many serial killers and mass murderers as this country has had, you would have thought that just once a prosecutor would run for office bragging that he had put so-and-so mass killer in prison, but they don't do that. Instead, they downplay their own accomplishments, and they claim that they're just tough on crime. Yeah, they're not putting a face on it if the face is the wrong color. Fannie Willis wouldn't be caught dead putting up political ads or going around making stump speeches bragging about all the white supremacists that she put in jail, mainly because she hasn't, or all the racist cops that she put away. Oh no, she wants to make it clear. Crime means black. She knows the rules of racism and she's going to play it line by line. The laws are color-coded and the enforcement of the laws are excruciatingly color-coded. Prosecutors know that when the suspect is black, you're supposed to hit them with a felony, no matter how low the alleged offense is. And when the suspect isn't black, well, they get a misdemeanor charge. If the person they're accusing is black, then the charge will be sexual assault. If the person they're accusing is white, it's going to be sexual misconduct, which is most of the time a misdemeanor. If the person they're accusing is black, then they're going to say it's possession with intent. But if the accused is white, then it's going to be just simple possession. That's how they play the game with laws in the United States. Misdemeanors for white people, hard felonies for black ones. And that's just in the cases where they even bring charges. As has been widely documented, police are far less likely to arrest a white offender, prosecutors far less likely to bring charges, judges far less likely to uphold the charges, and judges far less likely to impose a hard sentence if convicted. All of this is very well documented. You have the same police, same prosecutors, same judges in the same cities, and yet, depending on the color of the skin of the person they're dealing with, they do completely different things. Oh, but the police aren't biased, and neither are prosecutors and neither are judges. The white media told us so. And while I'm not putting on the cape necessarily for any of these rappers, we need to make sure we understand when somebody is targeting people not based on what they've done, but based on who they are. Black people, especially those of means, have to understand that they are in the crosshairs. And the only way that they won't be is if they're in control of who's in that prosecutor's office. Spending all your money on cars, clothes, and thoughts may stroke your ego, but it also leaves you a sitting duck for the Fannie Willises and the Kevin Steeles of this world and every other crooked prosecutor out there who wants to have a black head on their trophy wall. The reason these corrupt DAs are so emboldened to do this is because, as they see it, they have the political field completely to themselves. Mainly because the people who are in a position to keep them from holding these offices aren't doing anything about it. The people being targeted are also the ones who have to change this situation. Laws to prevent these kinds of racially based prosecutions are fine, and they're necessary, and they should be the law of the land. I have no problem with states like California and others enacting laws to stop this kind of thing, but the Fannie Willises of this country are simply going to move on to some other thinly veiled pretense for coming after black people. When these rappers are ready to get serious and be proactive about protecting themselves from these malicious prosecutions, then I'll tip my hat to them. But as long as their main preoccupation is being a big shot on Instagram, then as I see it, they've resigned themselves to their fate, and they're welcome to it. If these rappers really want to put a stop to this, then instead of choosing their next pair of skinny jeans to wear or choosing their next blonde bimbo for their next video, instead they need to be putting their ears to the ground and looking for people who they can trust to put in these offices. Bragging about how much juice you've got on the streets means nothing when you have no power at all in the courtroom. All these rappers love to call themselves bosses, but you can't call yourself a boss unless you have a plan, and these rappers don't have a plan for how they're going to deal with these judicial attacks. A boss doesn't allow his enemies to take pot shots at him, and then all he can do is pray. Escaping a conviction by the skin of your teeth, that's not a plan. And these prosecutors have the luxury of throwing nonsense charges at you until one of them eventually sticks. Just ask Bill Cosby if you doubt me about that. A boss doesn't have to worry about nuisance suits from crooked prosecutors because a boss understands that the best way to avoid trouble with the law is by making sure you choose who enforces those laws. It's up to them to make certain that their next hit involves kicking those corrupt DAs out of office. Now, that kind of move may not get you on Billboard's top 20, but it will keep you from doing 20 to life. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Tanya Montagut, Richard Allen Lovell, Kenneth Prescia, Richie Lazar, and KD. Salute to them, and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.